Japan, a land of prosperity, wealth, and cutting-edge innovation. A nation that dazzles the world with its technological advancements and economic strength. But beneath the surface, shadows lurk. Behind Japan's thriving economy lurks a darker reality: hidden losses, corporate fraud, and scandals shaking the nation to its core. Today, we reveal Japan's top 5 financial scandals, cases that cost billions, shattered reputations, and left the country in shock. Stay until the end for the most notorious case of all. Organized crime, or as it's called in Japan, Yakuza, isn't just muscle and extortion, it's finance, power, and influence. In the 1990s, Japan's most feared syndicates weren't just controlling the streets. They were inside the banks, manipulating loans, threatening executives, and moving billions in shadow money. For decades, Japan's largest Yakuza syndicates, including the infamous Yamaguchi-gumi, had deep financial ties to banks. The scheme was simple. They used intimidation to secure massive loans, then defaulted on them, funneling the money into illegal enterprises. Some bank executives knowingly approved loans, fearing violent retaliation. Others remained silent until the truth came out. One of the biggest scandals involved Sumitomo Bank, where employees secretly provided Yakuza-backed loans. The ties ran so deep that some bank executives even held private meetings with crime bosses. The fallout was inevitable. By the mid-90s, over 50 executives were investigated, some forced to resign while others faced charges. Japan's financial reputation took a hit, and investors pulled billions from institutions linked to criminal activities. This scandal was a turning point. In 1992, Japan passed the Batao Law, making any financial interaction with Yakuza illegal. Banks were forced to perform stricter background checks, and Yakuza's grip on finance began to weaken, but never fully disappeared. The Yakuza banking scandals exposed a dangerous loophole: how organized crime infiltrated legitimate institutions. Though laws have changed, the shadow of these crimes still lingers over Japan's financial world. Imagine controlling the world's copper market. Sounds like a movie plot, right? But in 1996, Sumitomo Corporation's trader, Yasuo Hamanaka, known as Mr. Copper, did just that. For a decade, he manipulated copper prices globally, pushing the market to extremes. When his fraud was exposed, losses totaled $2.6 billion, making this one of the largest commodity scandals in history. Hamanaka wasn't just any trader. He was Sumitomo's chief copper trader, controlling massive positions on the London Metal Exchange, LME. His goal? To corner the global copper market, ensuring Sumitomo dictated prices worldwide. Starting in the 1980s, Hamanaka secretly engaged in unauthorized trading, using forged documents and fake contracts to hide losses. He built a network of traders and brokers who helped him manipulate copper prices, making it seem like demand was skyrocketing. For years, his strategy worked. Copper prices remained artificially high, and Sumitomo profited. But in 1996, the scheme unraveled when external audits exposed the deception. The market crashed, and Sumitomo was forced to admit $1.8 billion in losses, later rising to $2.6 billion. Airbags are meant to save lives. But what happens when they become the very thing that kills? Takata, once a respected airbag manufacturer, became infamous for hiding deadly defects. Their airbags could explode, launching metal fragments at passengers. The cover-up lasted years, until a recall affected over 100 million vehicles worldwide, leading to bankruptcy and criminal charges. The scandal wasn't just financial, it cost lives. The problem started in the late 1990s, when Takata began using ammonium nitrate as the propellant in its airbag inflators. It was cheaper, but dangerously unstable. Over time, exposure to heat and humidity caused the inflators to degrade, leading to violent explosions instead of controlled deployments. Takata knew about the defects. Internal documents from 2000 show engineers warning that the inflators were failing tests. But instead of fixing the issue, Takata manipulated test data to hide the problem. The deception continued for over a decade. The first reported fatality occurred in 2004, when a Honda Accord driver in Alabama was killed by shrapnel from a Takata airbag. More deaths followed, and by 2015, the U.S. National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, NHTSA, ordered Takata to pay $200 million in penalties and recall 32 million inflators. In 2017, Takata filed for bankruptcy. The scandal led to at least 16 confirmed deaths and over 180 injuries worldwide. 3 former Takata executives were charged with wire fraud and conspiracy and accused of falsifying safety reports. The Takata airbag disaster remains the largest automotive recall in history. It exposed the dangers of corporate negligence and the devastating consequences of putting profits over safety. Though Takata is gone, its legacy serves as a warning: when safety is compromised, lives are lost. Toshiba, one of Japan's most respected corporations, was built on innovation and trust. But behind the scenes, a culture of pressure and deception led to one of the country's largest accounting scandals. For 7 years, Toshiba inflated profits by $1.2 billion, deceiving investors and regulators. Executives pressured employees to manipulate numbers, fearing corporate shame. When the truth came out, CEO Hisao Tanaka resigned, and Japan's business culture faced tough questions about ethics. The scandal began in 2008, during the global financial crisis. Toshiba's profits were shrinking, and executives feared losing investor confidence. Instead of reporting losses, they ordered employees to manipulate financial statements, booking future profits early, delaying losses, and hiding expenses. This fraudulent accounting continued under 3 different CEOs: Atsutoshi Nishida, Norio Sasaki, and Hisao Tanaka. While none of them directly instructed employees to falsify numbers, they created an environment where unrealistic profit targets forced employees to adjust financial reports. By 2015, an independent investigation exposed the deception. Toshiba had overstated profits across multiple divisions, including PCs, semiconductors, and visual products. The scandal was bigger than anyone had imagined. The consequences were swift. CEO Hisao Tanaka resigned, along with 2 former CEOs involved in the scandal. Toshiba was forced to revise its financial statements, wiping out billions in reported profits. Japan's corporate culture came under scrutiny. The scandal exposed the dangers of hierarchical pressure, where employees felt obligated to obey superiors, even if it meant breaking the law. Regulators called for stronger corporate governance, and Toshiba pledged to reform its practices. Toshiba's accounting scandal was a wake-up call for Japan's business world. It showed how corporate pressure can lead to deception, and how even the most respected companies can fall. Though Toshiba has since restructured, the scandal remains a reminder that transparency and accountability must always come first. And now the biggest financial deception in Japan's modern history. Olympus, a tightening camera and medical imaging, hid $1.7 billion in losses for decades. The truth emerged when their CEO, Michael Woodford, uncovered the fraud and was immediately fired for exposing it. The scandal rocked the financial world, proving even global corporations can fall prey to corruption. The fraud began in the late 1980s, when Olympus made risky investments that quickly turned into losses. Instead of reporting them, executives engaged in a practice known as tabashi, a method of hiding losses by shifting them off the books through inflated acquisitions. For decades, Olympus used shell companies and questionable mergers to cover up its financial troubles. The deception remained hidden until Michael Woodford, a British executive, was promoted to CEO in 2011. Within weeks, he discovered suspicious payments totaling $687 million, linked to acquisitions that made no financial sense. Woodford confronted the board, demanding answers. Instead of addressing the fraud, Olympus fired him immediately, hoping to silence the scandal. But Woodford refused to back down. He went public, exposing the fraud to the world. The revelation sent shockwaves through Japan's corporate world. Olympus stock plummeted by 75%, wiping billions off its market value. Investigations by the Tokyo Metropolitan Police, FBI, and UK Serious Fraud Office uncovered a massive cover-up dating back decades. Several top executives, including Tsuyoshi Kikukawa, Hisashi Mori, and Hideo Yamada, resigned and faced criminal charges. However, only 2 securities brokers were sentenced to 3 to 4 years in prison, leaving many questioning Japan's corporate accountability. The Olympus scandal exposed deep flaws in Japan's corporate governance. It showed how secrecy and hierarchy could enable fraud at the highest levels. Though Olympus survived, the scandal stands as an enduring testament to the dangers of unchecked power and the necessity of reform. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, and see you on the next video.